Look beautiful. So we have this time, that we've been talking about, and we've also been talking about the way to transcend this time, and the way to get through this time, and the way to really bring your power to this time is to energetically set your frequency at a certain level. Okay, so we're energetically setting our frequency at a certain level, and we want to make sure that we help the people in our lives to energetically set their frequencies also to a certain level. And that includes and is important to extend to the children on the planet Earth. The children on the planet Earth have an interesting situation happening because we've talked about this. There's many mind control programs running right now. So there's lots of programs running, lots of mind control programs running. But in an adult who was born, for instance, during the Piscean age, so pre-2011, for an adult that was born during this time, they're never going to fully accept the program. Does that make sense? You're going to run the program. We're going to run the program, but there's always going to be something in there that goes, this isn't right, this isn't normal. And we'll go along with it, but we kind of, we know that this happened before, and we're still thinking about how the world used to be. And there's always going to be a resistance to the acceptance. So that's why you see all this focus on schools right now. It's nonstop focus on schools, focus on vaccines, focus on all types of things that are oriented towards children, right? There's a huge focus on this. And the reason why there's a huge focus on the children themselves is because they're young enough that they can run the program without reverting back to what they knew previously. Because if this is all that they know, then the negative forces can program generations, right? And that's how it sort of starts. So there's an emphasis on the entire global population. There's a special emphasis on the kids. There's a special emphasis on the children. There is an image of children in school recently. I don't know where they had started the school, but they were standing, everyone 6 feet apart in the hallway, one person at each table, when they were eating lunch, even outside. So they're not allowed to talk to each other, not allowed to interact with each other. So the strictest measures are being implemented in the schools, right? In the prisons, everyone's like, whatever, but it's like, but it's for the children that the strictest measures are being implemented. And it's because of what I shared with you before, which is that, I still can't pronounce his last name. You'll have to Google him. Yuri, who worked in Soviet Russia, and part of his job was to be one of these people that implemented the control over the population. And he said, you start with kids, because if they can run the program at a young age, they'll run it through their life. You'll change that particular organism, and then when they have children and they have children, then in 3 generations you can have a completely new population of people operating under a completely new set of social standards and structures and expectations. So we want to pay particular attention to the kids. So there's an attention on ourselves, which is good. We need to keep putting the attention on ourselves. Just hold the correct frequency on the planet. That's what our job is. Hold the correct frequency on the planet so that we can self-correct and the environment can respond to that correction. But for the kids in particular in your life, and everyone has some kids in their life that everyone's connected to a child somehow, right? It could be very direct, your parent. It could be very indirect, a daughter of a friend, a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, or a child that you see regularly in your life for some reason. But these children need some focus right now. They need mantras right now. If you're a parent, or if you know a parent and you can help that parent, you need to encourage them to at least put a mantra in their child's room. There's no time like now to do that. There's an urgency to do that, is to put a mantra into the child's room while they sleep. There's countless testimonials of parents who have done this, and it's been extremely beneficial to the child. There was one in particular that I'll repeat. This was a mother who came to Hari Jivan for help. She had, her child was having nightmares. He was having terrible nightmares, and he described these beings walking into his room at night, and he said they were tall and scary, and they were covered in dark robes and covered their heads, and these very tall, thin beings just terrorizing him. And he started talking about them as soon as he could speak. So when he was a baby, this is happening too. But then when he could speak, then he started being able to describe them. So this is something he was dealing with for a long time. And the mother, when he started to describe this, the mother had remembered something about her own childhood. She had remembered being visited by the same beings. And then the sensitivity as we grow older to cope with the visitations, or to cope with the traumas, to cope with the negative energy, we turn off the sensitivity. And that's how you do it. If you don't have a technology like Kundalini Yoga, you turn off the sensitivity. So she turned off her psychic awareness in order to not see them anymore. But they were still in the family line, they're still there. And then they got to her son. So she goes to Jiva and she goes, "What do I do?" He goes, "Just play Apsai Hoa." She's like, "What?" This is generations, right? "Just play Apsai Hoa." And she did. She got a little tiny speaker and she put it underneath her son's bed and she turned on Apsai Hoa and she just didn't turn it off. It goes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, especially during sleep. And they went away. And I don't mean it took time. It didn't take days, it didn't take weeks, it didn't take months, it didn't take years for this ancestral kind of curse, you could say, to go away. It took one night. They didn't visit him the next day. She played it one night and they didn't come back, and they still didn't come back. And I happened to be in touch with that mother, and the kid is doing fantastic. So remember, there's so much focus on what we're doing right now, what's going on with our jobs and our homes and our relationships, our personal sovereignty, right? Our thoughts, our energy field, everything. There's a lot of focus on what's going on with us, and rightfully so. But we need to think of the children during this time. And if there's anybody that you can help, advise. Sometimes you can help someone by giving them, like, "Here's an old iPod I'm not using anymore. Just plug this into the wall and play it for your kid," right? Or you get one of those little speakers. I love those things off Amazon. There's they have a whole bunch of different kinds, but they're like $20 and they take a little memory card. And the reason why I think they're so great is because you can plug them in and forget about them. You're never going to use them for anything else, so you don't have to worry about stopping the mantra. If I plug in my computer, I need my computer for lots of things, so that mantra is going to stop playing, right? Because I'm going to need to bring it with me, or I'm going to need to do something on it. I need to watch, all the Taken series on it. There's a lot of things you have to do with your laptop, right? Your phone is also, you use your phone constantly, so you can play a mantra on it, but that mantra is going to turn off many times during the day. The best thing to do is get a designated device that you don't need to spend a lot of money on it or a lot of time on it. And you just plug it into the wall and it just starts playing, and it never stops playing. The iPod Touch will do that. Okay, we don't need to talk too much about technology products, but just get a mantra going. Just get a mantra going in your home and make sure that the kids hear it. And here's the thing about the kids is that they have a different sensitivity level than we do. And we have to be really honest about that and really humble about that. We were born, if you're born pre-2011, maybe some people watching were born after 2011, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're born before 2011, then you were born into a analog age. Okay, so the cusp of the analog age was 1992 to 2011. That's when we moved from Piscean to Aquarian. So we had this cusp period where we started to move. And then we fully entered Age of Aquarius November 11th, 2011. So we have anyone born before 1992 and anyone born before 2011, you're definitely in an analog age, okay? Born into an analog age. Nothing wrong with that. Different frequency, very different frequency. Very different frequency. That was a time where internet was just kind of happening, or not at all happening. The clocks were digital clocks or analog clocks. Research was done in a library with books, right? Not on the internet, right? This is a very, very, very different time. Very, very different time for the planet, and it's an analog time. And the digital time, I hope we can see how massively different it is. And that can serve as a metaphor for how massively different the children are, right? I love to use that example of the card catalog at libraries, because a long time ago they had these card catalogs. So you'd go to a library and you'd kind of like you'd look through these files to find a subject you wanted to research, and then you'd go to the place on the shelf and hope they have a couple books about whatever it is, whatever research you're doing, and you go to the paragraph that you need and like photocopy it. I mean, it was the slow time. Okay, so I'm gonna put Kundalini Yoga here. Looks like I'm not even connected here. Okay, so that's another thing, right? if you're not connected, there's nothing you can do. Okay, so I'll do it on my phone, because now phones are not for calling anyone. They're just for going, they're just for Instagram and email and all of that. If someone calls you, you feel accosted. just like, what? You have to warn someone you're gonna call them with a text first. So anyway, here's the, no, exactly. So it's not telling me how many results I got when I put Kundalini Yoga in. I want to try to do it on the computer, but it's gonna take me less than, it'll tell you if you put something into Google, it'll say 0.001 seconds, 2.8 billion results. It'll tell you right at the top how many results you got for your search term. And I just want to use that as a metaphor for the speed that the children are dealing with that we are not dealing with. They were born into a digital age, and furthermore, they can handle digital things, whereas we cannot handle it in the same way. We need to use technology. It's a very important tool, especially on a digital planet. On a digital planet, it's a critical, essential tool to be able to speak the language of technology. Otherwise, you're living in a completely different time and space from everyone else. All these people want to hide from computers and hide from phones and think it's all bad. You're buying into a AI program that doesn't want you to learn technology. That's another program on the planet Earth that's being run. AI wants to control right? They want to control artificial intelligence computers. AI wants to control the technology. So naturally, one of the programs that they're going to run is you should not learn technology. Children, technology is bad for children. Let's run the mind control program. Let's run the program on the whole planet Earth. Technology is bad for digital kids. Do not give these digital Aquarian kids computers, because it will ruin their brains. Where did that program come from? Why does AI want you to learn technology? They don't want you to learn technology. They're running a program because they want to have this certain amount of control over the planetary system. So if kids learn technology, especially digital kids that have a propensity for it, if kids learn technology, they become competition. We don't want another Elon Musk. We have him in right where we want him, right? We don't want more of these people. We want people who are not going to compete and who are just going to sort of stay in their place that we've put them, run the programs we've given them to run, and deprive them of oxygen with masks, and deprive them of oxygen with the way that we're ruining the planet in many different ways. But anyway, that's a whole different can of worms we could get into. But don't buy into the mind control program that technology is bad for everyone. That's a fool's game. Anyone who succeeds on the planet Earth knows how to use technology. And this is a digital time and space. This is an information age. You have to be able to use it. It's a tool to serve you. The problem becomes when you become overrun with that tool, when you become overrun with the information, when the system can't handle it. And everyone has a different diet when it comes to what they can handle. Okay? The kids can handle way more than you can because they were born in a digital age. So they are digital by nature. So if you're born into a Piscean age, you are analog by nature, and you're not able to handle the same dose. So they can handle a way bigger dose, and they need it. They need it to serve their destinies. That's why they were born onto an information planet in an information age during a digital time, because this is part of their language that they speak. So to deprive them of technology is completely buying into the mind control program that the AI wants you to buy into. It's very interesting how many parents consider themselves very, very conscious parents, but the kids are not allowed near a screen. And the thing is that the kids are going to get, there's going to be a backlash because you're keeping them from their destiny. They're born onto a digital planet. You have to be honest about that. They were not born onto a planet that doesn't have digital technology, of which there are plenty out there. There are plenty out there, more primitive planets. This planet is a digital planet in a digital age. Aquarian age is by definition a digital information age. Your child chose to be born onto the planet during this time. You take away the screens, you take away all the screens, you take away all the technology, there's going to be an anger at you, an undercurrent of anger at you that builds throughout the childhood, builds throughout the teenage years, and remains. You're going to lose that child. You're going to lose that relationship. They don't know. They might not be able to say exactly why they're angry at you, but they know all their kids are, all their friends are watching Paw Patrol or whatever, and they've never seen it, or their parents are afraid of it. And so anyway, these kids need a little special attention right now. They need a little special attention. They don't need their parents buying into mind control programs that the AI wants you to buy into, that technology is bad. They need the mantras. They need the frequency. They need conscious, clear people in their lives to guide them, because they're being targeted more than we are by the negative forces on the planet Earth. They are targets, because they're the ones that can hold the program lifelong without any resistance. There's a lot of things we're doing to try to break down the resistance in kids. A lot of things negative forces are doing to break down the resistance in kids to the programs that are being run. So anyway, it's your task to reach any child that might be in your life directly or indirectly. Any child that you know, reach out to the parent, reach out to the child, and at least let's start with a mantra. Okay, any mantra what's the correct mantra? What's the correct one I should play for the child? They're all correct. Find one that you like, find one that the child likes, and an advanced decision is to let the child pick the mantra. Then they've played a part in it. They have some ownership of it. They don't feel like it's being forced or pushed, and it doesn't become something they can later rebel against because there's no agenda. So if they pick their own mantra, then that becomes a very powerful, sovereign choice that they have, and they can hold the frequency much better than we can anyway. So that's your task to anyone participating today, anyone watching today, is reach some child that you know, directly or indirectly, some child that comes to mind, and just offer the parent a resource for that child during this time. Because they're not going to sit down and do 31 minutes of a meditation. But they can listen. They can listen to the frequency. They can hold the frequency better than anyone can. Is it a deal? Okay, we have a responsibility to help. And why should we do this? Why should we do what I'm talking about? Well, it's interesting. The human being, according to the yogic science, the human being is only programmed to be motivated to do something if they see a benefit in it for themselves. And we don't want to admit that that's the case, but in the yogic scriptures, that's what it says. We're motivated to do something if we see that there's a benefit for us. And you can say we serve somebody else because we see there's a benefit for us. And that's actually true. The best way to feel better, if you're in a certain place and you want to feel better quickly, and you want your energy to change quickly, then you go out and help somebody. Not everyone knows that. Trulshik Rinpoche says, if you seek happiness for other people, then you'll always be happy. And if you only seek it for yourself, then you'll never be happy. And that has been the law since the beginning of time. So anyway, seek happiness for a child in your life and see what kind of energy comes back, is reflected at you, is given back to you. And it will make a huge difference vibrationally for that child and then for the planet when they go back to these schools. Okay, let's come on to the hands and knees, please, for the cat-cow.